Hello and welcome to Chatterbox. Today I've got Raz Goodred with me to talk about Homestart Medway. Hello Raz.
Good morning.
Homestart Medway. Now, I believe Homestart is a national organisation. Is that correct?
Yes, it is a national organisation. We have Homestart UK, which oversees the Homestarts throughout the whole of the UK.
Homestart Medway, obviously the local branch of the organisation. What is it you do?
Well, we offer quite a range of services for families that live in the Medway area. All of our families have a child that is under 5. That's one of our prerequisites to accessing the service from us. We offer a few different strands of support. So our primary service is a home visiting service for families. And what we do within that service is we receive referrals from a variety of agencies and organisations that work with families who identify that a parent perhaps is struggling and needs a little bit of support. And we also receive a lot of self-referrals from parents that themselves identify they need a bit of help and they give us a call. And we look at how we can provide that support for them. So through the home visiting model, what we will do is we will match a volunteer with a family that will look to achieve their identified outcomes over a period of up to 6 months. So what will happen during that 6 months is the volunteer will go into the family's home and support them once a week for perhaps a couple of hours to work on their identified outcomes. So that may be, for example, a parent that's perhaps quite isolated, who has a couple of young children, and the volunteer may be supporting mum to access activities in the community, maybe the local library, the local children and family hubs and so on. Even perhaps just accessing the local parks if mum perhaps needs some support around those things. They may well introduce routines and boundaries in the home with the children. If mum's particularly struggling in that area, it could be that actually mum's got multiple children and actually it's just the pressures of having, 3 or 4 little under 5s running around that need looking after, and the volunteer will go in and provide some sort of structured support for mum. So that's really the home visiting model, which is the core service that we deliver at Homestart and is, as I say, delivered by volunteers to families in their homes. We also offer a financial fitness team service. So through our financial fitness project, families can be referred to us who are perhaps struggling with their finances, managing the household budget, perhaps not claiming all of the benefits and everything that they're entitled to. And what we'll do is we'll actually work with that family to look at their income and expenditure and see if there's any areas that we can offer suggestions. We'll also ensure that they are receiving all of the benefits that they're entitled to. And if they're not, we either signpost them to services that can help with those applications, or in some cases we'll support the parent to complete the applications ourselves. So for example, some parents may have a child with a disability and we'll support the parent to complete the DLA application for that child. So the financial fitness service also, it's forever evolving and developing, and we're looking to actually do some work in schools for children. So delivering some sessions around money management and teaching children the value of money from a young age, in a hope that that will obviously prepare them for later life, where money unfortunately becomes so important for all of us. So important that we get that right from those younger years. So that's the financial fitness project. We then also offer groups for families. So these are often groups for parents that have accessed Homestart services in the past, and it gives them an opportunity to still keep in touch with the service, but also to meet other parents out in the community. The groups are facilitated by staff from Homestart alongside volunteers, and we deliver those from the children and family hubs in Medway. So it not only gives the parent the support from a Homestart group, but it also introduces them into those community spaces, which hopefully they will then go on to access outside of the Homestart group itself. So we provide those groups. We also offer support to women or men that have had historic domestic abuse and moved into Medway to settle and perhaps just need a bit of support, advice and guidance from staff members here around that. So maybe help in the provision of goods for the family, beds for the children, clothing, etc. Or it may be sort of just, emotional support for the parent that's been through that experience. To work very closely with our local one-stop shop in our support of these families and ensure that they have everything they need to continue a settled life in a new area.
So is all the contact with you then, is it through referrals, or can somebody contact you directly?
We take many direct referrals from families. If they can just give us a ring and refer themselves. It doesn't need to be a professional, if you like, or an agency that's referring that family in. And actually, one of the ethos of Homestart UK, and indeed all of the Homestarts that work under the umbrella of Homestart UK, is that we are there for all families when they need us. So we don't discriminate. It's not a tick box exercise. We are genuinely there for all families that have an under 5.
Yeah, okay. And you're on Facebook as well, aren't you?
We are. So
people can talk to you through the Facebook page, yes?
Yeah, we have lots of people contact us via Facebook. Obviously, nowadays it's all the rage, isn't it? All the social media. We have lots of communications via that media. We have lots of contacts with people that want to make referrals. But we also, it's a good information sharing platform because we talk on there a lot about the groups that we're offering. And we also rightly give credit to organisations that fund the projects that we run. So obviously being a charity, we are reliant on funding. So it's a good opportunity for us to actually rightly promote those organisations that kindly support us.
Yeah. And there's a web page as well, I hasten to add, isn't there?
We do, yeah. We have a web page. We're also on Instagram and we're on Twitter. So we have a member of staff in the team who oversees those accounts just to make sure that we're communicating on all those various platforms and we're responding to any inquiries that we may receive on those.
Okay. What I'll do, all the details for Facebook and all that, I'll add those at the end of this chat. So anybody that wishes to contact you has got the information required.
Fantastic.
The group activities that you do, what sort of things do you do?
So we provide groups that are really designed to support children's development. So the idea is that we'll run them from the local children and family hubs, and we will set up a range of activities in the group that will support the various prime areas of development for children. So, for example, there will be activities that support fine motor skill development. We set up bookstart corner type spaces or reading spaces to encourage speech and language acquisition. We have physical activities set up to encourage those gross motor skills. So obviously in the summer we try to use any outdoor spaces and we really model throughout the groups how the parents can engage their child in those activities to support their development. But also the group has another function which is more of a social aspect, and that really is for parents to make those connections and links with other parents, because actually those support networks are essential. We also, within our groups, we provide groups specifically for our army families. So in Medway we have quite a large army community at Brompton, and we provide groups in there for the spouses of army personnel that are currently serving. So those groups prove essential, particularly for those parents, to make those connections with other parents who understand what it's like to be in that very unique situation that they are in, particularly when their husbands or partners are deployed out and posted out for service. So the groups really aim to offer that dual function of obviously encouraging and enriching children's opportunities to play and develop, but also to build those social networks and reduce isolation for parents, giving them that peer support and extending their networks.
All this, the things you do, Obviously, you have volunteers that help you with all this. Like all organisations, I know we're the same at Hospital Radio Medway, we're always looking for the volunteers. So if somebody wants to volunteer, how do they go about it, and what sort of things are there that they can volunteer for?
Okay, so if people are interested in volunteering, we would ask them to give us a call on our number, which I'm sure you will kindly display for us at the end of this session. So we would ask them to give us a ring, and we will then invite them along to an information session. So what happens at that session is we outline what volunteering for Homestart Medway looks like. So we go through the different volunteering opportunities that are available and explain the recruitment process and how it works. So because we are working with families, and often the volunteers are doing that independently in the family's home, there will be obviously DBS checks, references, and an application process.
Yeah.
We also offer training for those volunteers. There's a mandatory training course that they would complete, which is a hybrid course. So it's a bit of online learning, and then it's followed up with some face-to-face training with the staff here at Homestart. We then match volunteers with families that would suit their skill sets and what they hope to gain from the volunteering. And then the volunteers would actually receive regular support and supervision throughout their placement with the family. Or if they're providing support for another service within Homestart, again, they'll have regular opportunities to meet with a coordinator to make sure that they're confident and that they're getting everything that they hope from the experience, and that the match for the family or the match for the service is working for everybody involved. We do provide regular newsletters for volunteers, and there's volunteer events and so on. And we're really proud of our volunteers, because actually without them we wouldn't be able to run our service. So we currently have about 42 volunteers that work with us, and we're always keen to extend that number. We were unfortunately impacted by COVID, I think, as most voluntary organisations found. We did lose some volunteers who needed to shield or self-isolate for their own health reasons. So we are actually on quite an active recruitment drive at the moment, and welcome applications from people of all ages and all experiences. One thing I would say is that the service does run Monday to Friday 9 to 5 primarily, so we would need people that have got some availability during that time for a couple of hours perhaps a week to go in and support either a service or a family, maybe to support a group and so on. So it is that Monday to Friday 9 to 5. So it's not going to be for everybody, but it certainly is something that we found is that it's the best time for families, because obviously children tend to be in school and they can actually concentrate on the outcomes that they want to achieve. And obviously you've got the back office support, because the office is open and we're here to make sure that we take good care of our volunteers. So yes, if you're interested, please do give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Come along and find out more about what's involved, and we will take it from there.
On the volunteer side as well, I believe your trustees are all volunteers, and you're probably looking for some more trustees.
We are. Thank you, Gordon. Yes, we are. The trustee board, it is a voluntary-led organisation, and that does, like you say, include our trustees. So we are currently recruiting trustees to the board. We're looking for some that are more specialist roles, such as a treasurer and a chair, and others that are sort of more generic trustee roles on the board. For example, we are looking for people that have got experience in children, maybe a professional background in education or in health, particularly around obviously children and young people. And we are keen to receive applications from anyone who's interested in that aspect of volunteering. It is very different to the volunteering on the ground, which is much more hands-on. The role on the trustee board is much more strategic. The trustees are in effect responsible for the running and accountability of the organisation. So it does require a different skill set, and it does attract a different set of volunteers, and we are definitely more than keen to hear if anybody's interested in joining our trustee board. Again, call the main office number, ask to speak to myself, so ask to speak to Raz, and I'll have a chat with you a bit more about what that involves.
With the trustees, is there any interaction with trustees of the organisation in other areas as well?
So our trustees on our board meet bi-monthly. They meet every other month for a trustees meeting. So we would bring all of the trustees together and we'd review a standing agenda with additional items added as needed, really to make sure that we're compliant with Homestart UK regulation, but also Charities Commission, Companies House and so on. So that is really the primary function of that board, is the strategic challenge and ensuring that we are compliant and looking at ensuring that we're financially secure and kind of considering all aspects of the charity's work, ensuring that we're meeting our values and our targets and so on. So it is a very strategic role. We are building links with neighbouring home starts and their trustee boards, but that's really in its infancy. We're just sort of establishing some of those local connections, because actually sometimes charities face very similar challenges in terms of recruitment and in terms of fundraising and different issues. So actually linking and liaising with other local home starts in sort of Kent and Medway has been something that we've been beginning to look at.
Well, thanks very much, Raz, for telling us all about Homestart Medway, and not only the services you provide, but also the volunteering opportunities that you can provide. And hopefully you'll be inundated with volunteers.
Fantastic. I will be very happy if that is the case. And thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. And I really look forward to hearing from some of your listeners. Okay,
thanks very much, Raz. Thanks for talking to us. To contact Homestart Medway, you can phone them on 01634 570717 or through their webpage at home-startmedway.org.uk. You can also contact them on Facebook or Instagram at Homestart Med, or on Twitter at Homestart Medway. If you'd like to hear more episodes in this series of podcasts, or indeed see our other podcasts, search for our podcast website in your browser, hospitalradiomedway.captivate.fm.
There's 4 easy ways to listen to HRM FM. Go to our website at hospitalradiomedway.co.uk and click to listen now. Go to NHS Wi-Fi on your device and find us there. Say,
play Hospital Radio Medway
to your smart speaker, or switch your radio on and go to 87.9 FM, the radio station for the Medway Maritime Hospital. This is HRM FM.